Hello and welcome. In this math tutorial, our task is to solve for the values of x and y. The question reads, solve for x, y greater than 0. We are given two equations. The first equation is a logarithmic equation. The second equation is an exponential equation. Okay, so to solve this question, the first thing I will do is to simplify the logarithmic equation. But before I would do that, I'll need to first establish the constraint for the given logarithmic equation. Now, we know that because x and y are the base of the logarithm, the constraint for equation 1. Now, for equation number 1, which is log to base x of y plus log to base y of x equals to 5/2. Now, the constraint is that we are required to find the value of x greater than 0 and y greater than 0. So because the base of the logarithms are x and y, so it also means that x is not equals to 1 and y is not equals to 1. So what to do next is to simplify the logarithmic equation using one of the properties of logarithms, and that is the change of base property. Okay, so using the change of base property. So for change of base property, we know that log to base x of y will be equals to the reciprocal of log to base y of x. So from here, I can say let log to base x of y equals letter k. So which means that the logarithmic equation can again be written as, in terms of k, to be k plus 1 over k equals to 5/2. Now, in this case, I need to get rid of k and 2, so that we can have a straight equation, that's a quadratic equation, because this is going to give us, that is, getting rid of 2 and k in the denominator, we're going to have a quadratic equation. So multiplying through the equation, by 2k times k, that will be 2k squared. 2k multiplied by 1 over k, that will be equals to 2. Then this will be equals to 2k times 5/2. 2k multiplied by 5/2, that will be 5k. So now if I rearrange this equation, I'm going to get 2k squared minus 5k plus 2 equals to 0. So here we have a quadratic equation. Alright, so to solve this quadratic equation, I'm going to make use of the method of factorization by splitting the middle term. And that will be, we're going to have 2k squared minus 4k minus k plus 2 equals to 0. So that this will be 2k into k minus 2, negative 1, into k minus 2 equals to 0. So that 2k minus 1 equals to 0. We can have 2k minus 1, product of 2k minus 1 and k minus 2 equals to 0. So that 2k minus 1 will be equals to 0, or k minus 2 equals 0. So from here, k will be equals to 1/2. So k equals to 1/2, or k equals to 2. Now, to get the values of x and y, now we have two values of k, so which means I'm going to use the two values of k to solve for the values of x and y. And let's not forget that the values of x and y must be strictly positive, that is, it must be greater than 0, that is, value of x must be greater than 0, y must be greater than 0, and x must not be equals to 1. So x is not equals to 1, y also is not equals to 1. So then I can say case 1. Okay, we know that now we know that log to base x of y is equals to k, which is what we have here. Then when k is equals to 1/2, then this will be log to base x of y equals to 1/2, so that y will be equals to x raised to the power of 1/2, which implies that x is equals to y squared. Nice. Now I can substitute this into equation 2. All right, substitute, okay, substitute x equals to y squared into equation 2. And this is what we have as equation 2. X raised to the power of y equals to y raised to the power of x squared. Okay, so this will be, so we have x to be equals to y squared. So this will be y squared raised to the y, okay, this, then equals to y raised to the power of, now we know that x is equals to y squared. So this will be y squared, then raised to the power of 2. Okay, now in this case, this will be y raised to the power of 2y equals to y raised to the power of y exponent 4. Now, because we know that y is greater than 0 and y is not equals to 1, okay, so it means that I'm going to, in this case, I'll equate the exponent. So this will be 2y equals to y raised to the power of 4, and this will be y raised to the power of 4 minus 2y equals to 0. So factoring out y, we're going to have y into y cubed minus 2 equals to 0. So that for y equals to 0, this is a no solution. Okay, but y cubed will be equals to 2. So that y will be equals to the cube root of 2. Y equals to cube root of 2. So this is the value of y. Okay, now case 2. Case 2. Okay, we know that log to base x of y equals to k. Now, when k is equals to 2, then we can say log to base x of y equals to 2. So that y will be equals to x squared. Y equals to x squared. So now, and let's not forget that x is equals to y squared. X is equals to y squared. Now, if I put this into equation 2, okay, substitute y equals to x squared into equation 2. Okay, so we know that we have x to be raised to the power of y, so it means we're going to have x raised to the power of x squared equals to, then we know that y is equals to x squared. So y raised to the power of x squared will be x squared raised to the power of x squared. And this will be x raised to the power of x squared equals to x raised to the power of 2x squared. Okay, now also because x is greater than 0 and not equals to, and also not equals to 1. Okay, so it means that I can also equate the exponent in this case, so that x squared equals to 2x squared. Then 2x squared minus x squared equals to 0. Then x squared equals to 0. Remember, x equals to 0 is a what? Is not a solution. Okay, not a solution. Not a solution. Remember the constraint, so it's not a solution. So what I will do next is, because we have x to be equals to y squared, x equals to y squared, okay, and we got y to be cubed of x, cube root of 2. So it means that from our x equals to y squared, okay, we're going to have x to be equals to the cube root of 2 raised to the power of 2, which is the same as x equals to, in this case, we're going to have 2 raised to the power of 1 over 3, okay, raised to the power of 2. So in this case, this would be 2 raised to the power of 2, x equals to 2 raised to the power of 2 exponent 1 over 3. Then x equals to the cube root of 4, because 2 raised to the power of 2 is 4. So therefore, the value of x is cube root of 4, and then the value of y is cube root of 2. And these are the two values. These are the values of x and y which satisfy this equation. The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding. Bye-bye.